everyone, welcome back to Leadership Bytes, your monthly dose of intentional leadership. I'm Claire.
And I'm Raymond. And today we are diving into something that's reshaping great teams, and that is coaching.
It's not just a buzzword, but it's something that empowers teams from the inside out. Raymond, let's start with this. Why do you think coaching is such a big deal for leaders right now?
Because coaching is not about just giving answers. Coaching is about tapping on the full potential of the team member that the leader is trying to lead. So if you look at it in terms of hybrid teams, diverse generations, the amount of changes that we are experiencing right now, leaders need to build more trust. They need to build more collaboration. They need to build more confidence. They need to build more growth. So what it basically means is they don't just manage, but what they do is they empower individuals to bring out the best to the team.
So you're saying that coaching helps leaders to lead with more clarity and connection to their team?
Absolutely. It's about cultural impact and not just performance impact.
So a lot of companies still use one-off trainings. Why do you think it's not enough?
Typically, traditional training is very surface level. The frameworks that are given are not sufficient insights in order for leaders to lead better. In one of the research that's done by CCL, Center for Creative Leadership, they talk about the 70-20-10 model, where 10% of learning happens in the classroom itself, right? So the opportunity for more learning doesn't happen in the classroom, but it happens outside the classroom.
Okay, so what's a good tool for people to kind of apply that to learn more about themselves outside of classroom?
I'm glad you asked me that question. I think one of the tools that we recommend at Enable is Emergenetics. It's a science-based tool that helps leaders understand how people think and how they behave.
So you're saying it's like helping leaders to give them a blueprint for connection with their team?
Absolutely. With Emergenetics, it's you stop guessing, right? Why? Because you have data and you're able to start communicating based on what the team members' real preferences are in terms of how they think, how they behave, and potentially what their motivation levels are.
So recently, Enable used Emergenetics in a coaching program with a global engineering firm, right?
Yes, we actually worked with 40 leaders over a period of 6 months. And what they did was they went through Emergenetics profiling. They went through an interactive workshop, coaching practice, and everyone actually got a lot of feedback. And the statistics were amazing. 9 out of 10 reported greater confidence in coaching and leading diverse teams.
That's really huge. What do you think made it work?
I felt, it's the fact that people were committed, the leaders were committed, the team was committed. So it's just about bringing all of them towards one goal and one purpose, and that is to make the organization a better place.
And how do you think Emergenetics enabled the coaching culture for the firm?
Well, I feel there were 3 things that was really important. One was basically gaining that personal insights, getting to know who they are, number 1. Number 2 is basically practicing. They keep practicing and they keep understanding. And the third thing was a common language where they could communicate with each other and they could understand what they were trying to say. So these were 3 elements which I felt that was really helpful or basically made it successful for the organization.
So just to summarize, you're saying that Emergenetics help the leaders to understand themselves first, and then over the period of 6 months, they help to understand their team as well and their preferences in communication, which allowed them to work better among teams.
Absolutely. And don't forget they had to practice. There was a lot of practice happening. There was a lot of feedback that they were giving each other. So you realize it was, it just the whole organization actually transformed. And it just built that confidence or the desired confidence that the organization was looking for.
That's really awesome. Okay, Raymond. So how do you think leaders can start building a coaching culture?
That's a really insightful question. The first thing I think is modeling coaching, right? I think it's really important for leaders to ask more questions, to listen more intentionally, and maybe helping to play back what the team members are saying so that there is clarity, which eventually, summarizes what actions they need to take. I think that's one. I think another thing that's really helpful is to identify a profiling tool that gives both parties the desired clarity in terms of understanding what people's preferences are, and then leveraging on those preferences and moving people forward, nudging people forward. The third thing is actually coaching in the micro moments. All right. Whenever there is a situation, it's about sitting down and having a conversation, and applying the framework, the coaching framework, that would become really helpful for the team member itself. So it could be one-on-one, it could be debriefs. And you got to remember too, Claire, that these coaching in micro moments doesn't have to be 1 hour, right? It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. Just like on the walkway, you stop and you basically have a conversation, and you ask a few questions. The last thing I think it's really important is to build that feedback into the culture where people feel safe, people feel comfortable, people feel like they can open up and they can share without being reprimanded, right? So I think it's all about in that culture building that I think it's going to be really very helpful.
Right. And I think a lot of this also kind of takes time and a collective effort from everyone to participate in this movement where the culture is widespread and not just within like one team or a small group of people.
I really like what you said. The other thing is also making sure that the culture is similar across all departments. Sometimes certain leaders have different culture, right? So having the coaching and having the profiling tool, like I said earlier, it has a common communication platform for everybody. But coaching becomes powerful when leaders use it more frequently. It's not just something that you do during performance reviews.
Right. And having that frequent check-in makes the person feel more comfortable because they're doing it not just as a one-off thing, as a quarterly thing, but also as a hi, how are you? How is coaching going?
Yeah,
Or like how are you feeling? And empowering their team every step of the way.
absolutely.
So Raymond, final thoughts?
Coaching isn't a skill set, it's a mindset. And when leaders adopt that mindset, they don't just grow teams, but what they do is they build trust, they build resilience, they build commitment and performance ultimately from their team members.
Want to see this in action? Read our full case study on how 40 leaders transform their coaching with Enable and Emergenetics. Links in the description below.
Thanks for tuning in. Until the next time that I see you in Leadership Byte, don't forget to lead with intention.